Pixar wants to put you through the emotional ringer. However, a lot of times the worst stuff lies under the surface. The Binger wants to uncover all those dark scenes that many viewers don't consider when watching these films. Break out the tissues and be prepared for some sudden realizations. We're putting Pixar under the microscope and talking about all their moody moments. Imagine you're living your fullest life. You're in your late 20s and life is just beginning to hit its peak. And on top of that, you're one of the most famous superheroes alive. That's what life was like for Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible before the law put them in retirement. It's a dark thought to consider. They were living their best life and settling down together, thinking they were at their peak. The next thing you know, all the grandeur in life is stripped away and you're told to be like everyone else. It's hard to grow up and become an adult in life, but it's even harder when you were a freaking superhero before that reality. The early scenes of The Incredibles are so dark because we immediately understand what the characters want out of life. Imagine Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet for the rest of his life, but he can't become Superman. It's a cage. They literally strip away Mr. Incredible's identity until he's only known as Bob. The mundane office he works in is literally white and gray. It's clean of anything remotely engaging. It's like a darker version of Office Space in there. The worst part is that the mundane life also affects the children. Flash wants to use his powers, and he is told that he can't be who he's meant to be, while Violet is ashamed of her identity now. Living a basic life is a challenge for these people, and it strains them to live like that now. When you think it through like that, it really does become super dark. People have a habit of planning their life. Well, not everyone plans it out years in advance, but everyone dreams of goals they want to achieve. It's simply human nature. The idea that we can achieve more is what keeps us moving forward. The same is true for Carl in Up. That reality makes this scene even sadder. We know that the first few minutes of Up is the saddest short film ever created. We're not exaggerating. Watch that scene with your partner. If they don't tear up even a little bit, then check their temperature. They might be a lizard person. Still, this entry is about more than just those sad moments iconicized in film forever. Carl is haunted by the loss of Ellie, but it also plagues him that his dreams will never come true. It's such a dark concept for a character's starting point. It takes the entire film for Carl to realize that their dreams of making it to Paradise Falls isn't what matters. He needs to appreciate the life they had together. A wise man named Ferris Bueller once said that life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop and take a look every once in a while, you might miss it. Unfortunately for Carl, Ferris Bueller probably doesn't exist in his universe. It would explain why he never got the chance until he reached his old age to look back at his life and see all of the parts that worked out. His dreams don't come true at the end of the day, and it just makes the scene even sadder. Watching any sport will inevitably lead to that moment where you see an athlete lose their career in a blink of an eye. Those kinds of moments are shocking. One moment that person is at the height of their game, and the next moment they are down on the ground in pain. It's truly agonizing to watch. Cars 3 wasted no time reminding people of that reality when they released the trailer for that film. Pixar wanted everyone to know this was going to be a different kind of comeback film. Boy, it tugged at some heartstrings. Watching that scene probably gives many viewers anxiety. It's a gloomy concept. Stock car racing has some of the most brutal crashes of any sport. They're all pure carnage, and occasionally they end in a terrible way. We don't want to go full gore in this video, so we'll step away from that reality and move back into Cars 3. This scenario is different because here, the car is the person. Watching a car wreck is already gut-wrenching. Watching an animated one when the car is the main character is somehow just as bad. Tell us if we're wrong, but it feels like Pixar went out of their way to make that scene feel real. The asphalt scrapes and the sparks feel totally real. It makes every part of that scene worse than it already is. We can't watch that moment without gritting our teeth. This entry is technically more of a theory than a scene. It's got holes in it, but hear us out. Fans of the book 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea know that the captain's name is also Nemo. We discover in that book that Nemo is Latin for no one. Now, anybody who took Latin in school would also know that, but we thought it'd be nice to connect it to another pop culture point. The point that many theorists make is that it's possible that Nemo doesn't exist. He's just a symbol of Marlin's grieving process. Marlin is clearly a clownfish with serious anxiety triggered by that night with the barracuda. As he processes his grief, it's a reasonable assumption that he does so poorly, leading some to speculate that Nemo is never really actually there. It's a dark way to look at the film. Again, it provides plenty of plot points that poke holes in this theory, but try to stay open-minded. Rewatch Finding Nemo and try to look at it through this lens. Suddenly, Marlin seems much more manic, and the whole journey feels a lot more downtrodden. You can't tell us it doesn't make the movie darker. It may only be a theory, but it amplifies the dark themes in a film that Pixar likely put a double meaning behind. Perhaps the grief-bound journey is the double meaning. No Pixar series makes our stomach drop and our eyes water quite like Toy Story. Every film is packed with sincere moments that make the audience empathize with childhood toys. Think about that for a second. The power of storytelling is real, and Toy Story is proof. One scene that stands out and makes us run for the tissues is the montage of Jessie's life with her previous owner. We see a young girl obsessed with Jessie, horses, and Woody's Roundup. She plays with her cowgirl doll every day until one day everything stops. The magic is gone and she starts to grow up and change. Now she likes music and other things more than her childhood obsessions. Jessie gets lost under the bed, wishing to be played with now. One day she's picked up and hope is restored for a brief moment, but the next thing you know, she's donated to charity. Talk about a sad series of events. It's a dark theme for Pixar to remind us all of the toys we've left behind over the years. No wonder so many people are hoarders now. It's all Pixar's fault. Of course that's not true, but this scene really does make you want to hold on to your childhood toys a little more. It's a moment in the series that reminds the audience about the sadder moments in this studio's stories. They don't make everything happy-go-lucky. They want you to feel every moment. We just wish we wouldn't have to feel this one. It was way too real for too many people. Okay, everyone was thinking it, so we might as well say it. Where are all the people in Cars? What happened to them? Any serious thought into that idea will lead you to one grim answer. The cars took over the world. The answer appears to be that cars got more and more intelligent and they saw humans as just extra baggage slowing them down. They dumped the humans and took on the personality of whoever drove the car last. If that sounds a bit dark, it's because it is dark. Cars getting rid of humans is like Skynet Light. The only difference is that instead of the Terminator, we get Lightning McQueen. Seriously, the cars don't seem as cute when you consider this origin story. It's a grim reality to live as a human. Their whole story is overtaken by these machines. Mater doesn't seem as cute when you consider his sentient nature. It also means that he chose to be a rusty truck with a thick southern accent. Regardless of what you think of the actual storyline of Cars, we're willing to bet you cannot unsee this reality now. They managed to rid themselves of their human owners and take over the world. It's a fact you can't unknow now. It also raises the question of how more cars come into that world, but that's an entry for another video. Dory is one of those characters that you can't help but love. She is caring and funny. She does her best to help out her friends, no matter how rude they are to her. Ultimately, her short-term memory loss makes her one of the most endearing characters in all of Pixar. She takes a complex idea that would confuse many kids and makes it a concept that they can grasp and appreciate. She's truly a well-written character despite being a supporting role in Finding Nemo. Then came Finding Dory, and things got dark. Obviously, our little fish friend had parents. She even says she has a family in the original movie. The only problem is she forgot where they went. It led many people to ponder and theorize about who left who in what scenario. Luckily, or unluckily for us, Pixar decided to show us the answer. The scene was every parent's nightmare scenario. Seriously, we'd be willing to bet every parent in the theater watching this movie gripped their chairs a little tighter during this scene. Watching a young Dory try to help her mom by getting a purple shell is so touching. Then that moment tugs at your heartstrings when she is swept away by the undertow right in front of her parents. It's that feeling that if you look away for a second, something bad could happen actually coming to life. It's dark to consider how sheltered Dory is by her parents. They did everything they could to keep her safe and help her make it in life. They knew they wouldn't be around forever and they just wanted her to have the easiest life possible. All their effort goes by the wayside when Dory loses her parents and we watch as he struggles to keep up in the big ocean. Years go by before Dory finally follows the shells home. It was a long time coming, but man, is that moment of loss hard to watch. All we ever want is what's best for Dory, and watching her get taken away from her home so suddenly is so sad to watch. Even worse is the fear in her adult mind that she let her parents down. On top of that, watching her apologize for not remembering things is just the cherry on top of this sad Sunday. We end on one of the hardest scenes to watch in Pixar history. It's the moment that saw every older audience member confront their childhood dreams. Yes, we're talking about the time Toy Story 3 almost burned every single member of the team in an incinerator. It's the most agonizingly dark scene in the studio's history. We all knew we wouldn't lose Woody and the group. There's no way they'd let it end right here, we all said to ourselves. Yet they kept moving closer and closer to the furnace. Okay, it's getting a little bit too close for comfort, we all thought as our hearts began to pump faster. The toys all grabbed hands and waited for certain doom. Every person above the age of 13 in that theater began to panic. It's a moment no one will forget anytime soon. Of course, they're saved at the end. However, just reliving that scene is bound to bring back memories of that scary moment. Toy Story was a film many people grew up on and adored as a child. Many thought Toy Story 3 was the culminating moment for the series. It felt slightly plausible that the creators were going to incinerate our hopes and dreams right there in that moment. So there's moments in this list with darker adult themes. However, it's safe to say that confronting the loss of your childhood innocence in such a symbolic way was gloomy for a lot of viewers. Nothing rains on your parade like watching your favorite characters slowly move toward their end. Even though everyone knew it wouldn't happen, it was the potential reality that made us all go to a dark place in that moment, hence its inclusion on this list. Well, it's time to go find something happy to watch and remind yourself that joyful moments still exist in Pixar. Did we miss that dark scene that you thought should make this list? Bring it up in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to The Binger for more content uploaded daily.